Welcome to the J Squared Horror Podcast, where two lifelong horror fans talk all things horror. Pour yourself your favorite drink and hang out. Here are your hosts, Josh and Jake.
Hey guys, welcome to the J Squared Horror Podcast. I'm Josh.
And I'm Jake.
And on today's episode, we are going to be discussing
1982's Poltergeist, directed by Tobe Hooper.
This is a fan-requested episode. Our fan of the week is Courtney. So thank you so much, Courtney, for requesting this episode. We are super excited to talk about this one. Before we get into the episode, though, what would you like to let anyone new to our podcast know?
As always, like and subscribe on YouTube.
Pretty please.
Also find us on Spotify.
We're on there.
We're on Apple.
We are.
And we're on Google.
Yeah, that too.
Also Instagram. J Squared Horror Podcast. Link tree in the bio. New episodes every Thursday.
Every single Thursday, two lifelong horror fans decide to get together and talk anything and everything horror. With this podcast, we would like to be the most original and fully immersive podcast that's ever existed in horror. We like to include ourselves into different scenarios in horror movies. We like to talk about themed episodes. We kind of go through the movie, but in our own J Squared Horror Podcast kind of way, which is super fun, and we haven't found anything like it yet. So if you like cool things and exciting things and horror, stick around and listen to us. So, Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Bruh. What I'd like to mention first before we get into the episode is how Courtney was able to let us know that she wanted us to cover Poltergeist. That is www.jsquaredhorrorpodcast.com. If you go there, you can contact us easily like she did. She let us know that this is an episode that she would really like to hear based on other things that we have covered. She had her reasons, and we are super excited to provide this episode for her. So if any of our fans out there have an episode idea, you can either go to our website, you can go to our Instagram. Hell, you can just email jsquaredhorror@gmail.com. Anything like that, we are super excited to do fan requests again. We've been trying to get this going, and I'm so happy that Courtney reached out to us. She is somebody that we see on a weekly basis and talks to us about all of our episodes and different things. So we are so excited to cover Poltergeist. So, Poltergeist 1982 is, Spielberg is a part of it, right? He's a producer.
Yeah, so from what I saw, he wrote the movie.
Shit, okay.
He did the casting for it.
Okay.
And is executive producer.
Why wouldn't he have just directed it?
So, good question.
Yeah.
So, from what I saw, I guess the Universal contract he was in only allowed him to direct one movie at a time per year, I think.
Okay.
And 82 was E.T.
Oh.
So he couldn't do both. So from what I saw, some people think he just brought on Tobe Hooper to say he was the director.
Because Tobe Hooper would just stand by and let him do it?
Yeah, so Spielberg said Tobe Hooper didn't have I guess an aggressive enough personality.
Yeah.
So someone asked a question. Hooper wouldn't give a quick enough response. So Spielberg would give an answer, and they would do it that way.
Can you imagine being that guy?
And then Hooper would just, nod his, as he said, nod his, yeah, that's good, that's good.
That's good.
But and it was such a thing
like the podcast,
that the Screen Actors Guild did an investigation into it.
Oh,
to make sure it was Hooper directing the movie. And from their findings, they declared he was the director.
How much do you think Spielberg paid for that?
I mean, I feel like if you, in my opinion, watching the movie, it looked like a Spielberg movie to me.
The entire movie looks Spielberg-y.
Yeah. So, but they say he didn't do it.
Like, at the same time, if you know that E.T. came out that year, I don't know. I haven't seen E.T. in a while. I might not want to say this. But this one does look slightly lower budgeted. But budgeted. Am I saying that word right? Or am I adding letters?
Budgeted.
Yeah, I was adding a couple of these. Budgeted.
But, I mean, it may be.
Oh, man.
But from looking at it, up until this point, had always thought it was a Spielberg movie.
So, it's funny that you say that because until we watched the trailer when you got here today.
Yeah.
when I watched the movie last night, I just saw Spielberg and I was like, yeah, this is his movie.
Yeah. Dude, the trailer, we saw it starts out.
Yes, a Steven Spielberg production or something. It's like a Steven Spielberg film.
It's the
I think
first
that's what it
name
says,
you
a
see.
Steven Spielberg film. And then
It's
it's
the first
like,
name you see.
goes through all of that. And I had to check IMDb to figure out that the director wasn't Spielberg.
It shows Spielberg's name very small in the middle, and then underneath him, another huge Spielberg guy.
Which is, your grab is going to be Spielberg.
Yeah.
Because, horror hasn't always, that's not like his biggest cup of tea.
Yeah, we need Jaws.
Well, yeah, I know Jaws, and that's why, like, when I saw that this was a Spielberg film, I was like, ooh, I can rip on Jaws a couple more times, but it's not, so I can't.
Correct.
So, just to let the fans know out there why Courtney chose this movie for the J Squared Horror Podcast, I had to pull up the email. She said, it's top tier, loads of content, and stands the test of time. Which, as you guys know, through the J Squared Horror Podcast, those are 3 things we mention quite a bit. So she's listened to some episodes. We know this, but just to give you guys some perspective.
True fan.
On how we feel and how excited we are to do these fan requests episodes. What I would like to do is go through that kind of throughout the episode and decide if we agree or disagree with her fandom of this movie and our podcast. And it's, I will agree for sure that it's got loads of content. I full-heartedly agree with that, Courtney. I do. Top tier, we'll get there. Stands the test of time, we will definitely get there. But this movie is cool. We were talking about this before. And we always kind of chat a little bit just to kind of grease the gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Get ready. Because this is a fully unscripted podcast. If you're unaware, I can barely speak English. So the fact of me even having to remember a script makes me sweaty. So it is 82. But not in the sense of some of the other 80s movies we talk about. I'd say that I think one of the movies that we covered that drew her to this was The Thing.
Also from 82.
Which is from that same year.
Yeah.
We're talking about big difference in tiers here, ladies and gentlemen.
I would agree.
And I'm not talking shit on the Poltergeist, but if you're going movie v. movie, Poltergeist versus The Thing, which is not what we're doing this episode, don't worry. But The Thing and Poltergeist. That's all I'll say about that. I think that can get my point across without having to waste too much time on it.
I will say, though, although I feel it is, in my opinion, a lower tier movie than The Thing. I mean, that's biased me saying it, but it's still a good movie.
Is it biased you saying it, though? Because I feel like, I mean, I guess we can't even say Spielberg versus Carpenter because it's not Spielberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it is a good movie. I love the premise of it. The acting is really good.
Yo, the acting in this movie is crazy good. I love the parents.
They're good.
I seriously love
their whole dynamic.
Everything about these parents is like couple goals.
Yeah, they're good.
Like, where's that? like, dude, they're like obviously successful. The husband clearly does his job very well, takes care of his family. 80s guys, it's a little bit different than, today's world. The women, that woman of that time was cool sitting at home with the kids, and the husband provided everything for that family, and he worked for the people that built the community that he lives in, which means he fully respects and trusts and likes what he's doing, it would seem like, because it is that happy 80s American family vibe.
Yeah.
But there are parts of it that show that they were just like hip, like cool. Like they were like when they're in the bed together and they're just like smoking joints and like watching. At first I'm sitting there and I'm like, this guy's a piece of shit. He's not even paying attention to his wife who's trying to tell him a story. Yeah. He's reading a book and watching TV while trying to roll a joint. Fails and just throws the box back at his wife and is like, do that. And she's smoking one, so I'm like, just pass it. Like, just pass the one you're toking on and we can move forward. But then they have this amazing, like, adorable little, like, goofy moment.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's like, I think they mentioned like she's 31, which made me question a lot of things in my own life.
And he's the oldest 32-year-old.
He's the oldest
I've ever seen in my
32-year-old.
life.
It's very 80s. If you know anything about how we talk about characters playing ages in the 80s, it's not high schoolers. It's an adult. It's a fucking grandpa playing a 32-year-old.
See, I don't know how old he really was now.
It's crazy, though, because like their dynamic is cute. The kids are great. There's an older daughter who's not very relevant in the movie, but the younger son and the youngest daughter, if you guys know anything about Poltergeist, are the main, who's getting messed with the most in a movie called Poltergeist.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that it's like technology from the past, which at the time was like the newest of the new, like that you could tell they had money. Which we look at it now and it's like, ugh, like what is that?
Yeah.
They had like TVs in every room. It seemed like there was one in the kitchen, there was one in the living room, there was one in their bedroom.
There were a lot of TVs in their house.
A lot of TVs.
I did notice that.
Yeah, which is the TV people. The little girl, real early on in the movie, you realize the little girl's talking to the TV. Which, once again, if you guys know anything about myself, I don't really like kids.
She was adorable though.
I don't know.
She was.
I guess. Blonde hair, blue eyes,
Just,
little American girl.
Her voice.
Her voice, but she was terrifying. Like, who are you talking to? Who's here? What do you mean? There's some, that's when you just put the kid outside. Yeah, let her figure it out from out there.
So that opening scene or that opening part made me think, because she's there and she's getting close to the TV. And it
happens so early in the movie, too.
And she can't hear what they're saying. And she's like yelling that she can't hear what they're saying. So I imagine them on the other side screaming as loud as they can.
The poltergeists?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then once they get her, they can hear her, or she can hear them. Every question she asks, she's like, I don't know.
Why do we even pick
I don't know. All I can do. We were fucking screaming to get your attention.
Now
we have it. No answers. So they probably grabbed her out of anger.
Yeah, just get in here. That's funny. I didn't even think about that. Then is that when the shit starts moving in the kitchen? Pretty much
around the same time, right?
There's a lot of filler in this movie.
It's crazy. This movie is very front heavy. Like a lot of shit happens. I feel like pretty early on.
Yeah. Then there's a shit ton of filler, but there's also filler in between that stuff too.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't consider it a slow burn, which is something you guys hear on this podcast.
I would not either.
And last night, my dumbass, because I watch them the night before typically, and usually I'll research how long the movie is before I start it at, let's say, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little older, guys. Starting a movie at 10 o'clock on a work night is kind of painful, all right? Especially when it's an hour and 54 fucking minutes long. I wasn't in bed till after midnight, man. And then you kind of have to, like, decompress after a movie. Like, it's not scary. I get in its prime and its time, maybe people thought it was. But then, being the host of the J Squared Horror Podcast, your brain kind of turns on. And I was having some conversations with myself. And I was thinking, I was like, I swear, I should have written them down because it was like, when you're laying in bed thinking.
Yeah.
You have great thoughts, like a piss thought. Like when you just have like the greatest thoughts in the world hit you when you're taking a leak. Yeah. Like most people know what that's like. Or shower thoughts, things like that. Nobody else is around to hear these thoughts. So I was heading to my bed last night and I was like, dude, I swear to God, this movie had like 10 fucking other, like it influenced like 10 other fucking movies. And maybe it's because of the episode we did last week and I was thinking about like influential films. But it was like there are certain scenes from this movie that made me think about current movies. Not even like 90s, not even like 2000. I'm talking like 10s and up movies.
This movie made me, just to mention one, now I think about it, Insidious.
Bro, Insidious for sure.
Yeah.
Then there are scenes in this movie that made me think about the new the It remake.
Huh?
Yeah. Then at the very end of the movie, when the daughter comes home and she gets outside of the car and she goes, "What is happening?" I was like, okay, boom. You got fucking, now I know what you did last summer. they like little things like that where you just sit back and you're like, get the fuck out of here.
She's also
she's irrelevant.
Unimportant character.
So irrelevant. But at the same time, like, so the one scene that I'm thinking about for it was when the mom was trying to get to the little kid's room at the end of the movie, and the hallway gets super fucking long when the kid is upstairs trying to get back to his friends, and then the hallway gets long and the floor splits in the middle. But just like that first scene of when you turn around and the hallway got super long, like something about that immediately made me think of It Chapter 1.
Okay.
But it's like if it makes you think of a specific scene like that, that's when I think it influenced it.
I agree.
Not just like, you know, thinking about it forever later and you're like, oh, yeah, no, that kind of reminded me of that one thing, that one time that was in that one movie.
Yeah,
no, like immediately as I was watching it, I was like, oh, that's like that. I think the actor's name's like Jack Glazer when he breaks his little arm when he falls through. But I was just like, dude, like stuff like that. But Insidious for sure, because you got the whole mediums, you got the whole we're trying to get into the other side. You know, it's kids getting attached or attacked by ghosts. And it's like, holy fucking shit, did we not even realize that Poltergeist had the effect on modern cinema like it did? Especially coming off of an episode called The Most Influential Movies of Every Decade?
It's funny because, like, yesterday we texted, I had thought I had seen this movie before.
I did too.
I just thought I just watched it years ago.
Nope.
I was like, okay. I know. So it's almost like an hour and a half into us, and I thought to myself, I thought there was some like clown shit supposed to happen. It didn't happen. Is that Poltergeist 2?
Dude, I had that exact same thought because the clown is in this movie. Yeah. And there's a part where like the kid throws his jacket on it, and any kid that was scared of shit like that, like especially me. Also, there's this fucking tree in this movie. What the fuck?
Yeah, the tree is a bit
okay. So all of our longtime listeners, and maybe some of our new listeners might know, I don't fuck with looking out windows at nighttime. It's not a thing of mine. Yeah. And little did I know horror movies have been beating this shit into my head forever.
Yeah.
It's a fucking tree. And you know how, like, when you're a kid and, like, a tree has branches that look like arms and them shit start moving in the wind and you're like, that's a person. Bro.
You see the shadow coming in.
This fucking tree in this movie starts eating a kid.
It ate him pretty much.
Like,
he was like up to his neck in it.
The fact that, like, why isn't that on like t-shirts and posters?
Yeah.
Like this movie, like you said, it's very front end heavy.
Yeah.
And shit you didn't even know happened. Like you got the kitchen scene where like the fucking chair is moving across the shit and the dude's like, that's wild. And then she just openly puts her kid there and is like, you go, honey, but puts a nice little Rams helmet on her just to make sure she doesn't bump her head too hard.
Well, Free mentioned what I love about the father in this movie is he believes immediately.
That yes, I was getting to that. So thing. The thing that's so great about this movie is it doesn't waste that time.
Yeah,
there's no time wasted on it happening and people being like, "Nah, I don't see it.
Yeah,
I don't notice none of the shit that's weird going on." But also, these poltergeists in this movie don't really give you the option to not believe what is going on. Because it goes from little things like the stuff, like I think before the furniture started moving, the little girl and the mom are at home because the dad was off at work and it stacks the furniture perfectly, which makes you think of some crazy shit that you see in some of the Paranormal Activities later on down the road.
Yeah.
Obviously, movies like Paranormal Activity were influenced heavily by a movie like Poltergeist from 1982, which, once again, how we do this on unplanned shit blows my mind.
What do you mean?
The connection between the previous week's episode and this one. They're not going to believe we're an unscripted podcast.
They should.
But we are,
yeah.
If you just listen. But yeah, there's like crazy stuff that happens throughout this movie. And like you said, the husband gets home and she's like, I got to show you this because their relationship is so perfect. It's not like in the Paranormal Activity where it's like, oh, this is crazy. This is happening. Is it though? Let me go grab my camcorder and record a bunch of shit. Like, no, this shit's crazy and it's happening. And then you get I think pretty much after that is when like the storm, and he's like, count 1,000. I've done that. Did you ever do that as a kid?
No.
Dude, I used to be terrified of thunderstorms. Like Ted Thunder Buddy style shit.
I can sleep so well during thunderstorms.
I beg for thunderstorms now as an adult,
Yeah,
but as a kid, I was
like,
scared of them. Like that thunder be getting me, and I'm also petrified of tornadoes.
I would just crack the window a little bit.
Yeah,
Get a little breeze coming
Dude,
in.
I used to wake up and run outside on my grandparents' porch and just sit out there and let the storm happen. Because I love storms as like a teenager on, but as a kid, I was scared of them, kind of like this little kid. But I used to do shit like that where it was be like, oh yeah, if there's a thunderstorm, you count just between the lightning and the thunder how far away the storm is. The closer the number, the closer. The farther the number, the farther.
Okay.
But I used to hear 5 seconds was a mile. So that's what I was told. So like 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Shit, it's right over me. There's gonna be a damn tornado. Mom, get in the bathroom. Grab the mattress. I'm scared. But then there's a tornado in this fucking movie.
There is, yeah.
When the tree, it breaks the kid's window, which is like scary enough because he thinks it's a person tree thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, he was right.
2 hands grabs him.
2 hands come through the window, grab it.
Yeah. They're eating this kid.
Eating him while the parents are getting shit whipped outside by the wind. And we just had a crazy storm roll through our area on Friday, a couple days ago.
Oh, yeah.
It was like out of the blue, kind of like, I guess, like in this movie it would have been. But what the fuck was that? But yeah, no tree grabbed either one of us or our people.
Which is good.
And ate anybody. But this tree gets him like to his neck, like feet first to the neck. And the dad's like trying to climb up the tree. Mom's getting shit whipped around in the back. Daughter's upstairs just screaming out the window, not doing shit. Little girl, by the way, who the older daughter should have been watching, based on the scenario of what's going on, she's going through her own stuff where her closet is just eating her entire bedroom. And you're like, what? Like, so much is going on in these scenes. And this is where you kind of know, like, okay, Spielberg definitely had a heavy part in this because this shit for the 82 looked pretty good. Like, obviously, it's corny now. But can you imagine watching that when it came out? Like, it was probably mind-blowing. And there's another scene I'll get into later that I really thought that. But you know, you got the parents just, my kid's getting eaten by a tree, not knowing that the daughter's upstairs like, Mommy, because her shit's getting thrown into a closet. Clown flies in there. So you're like, oh, when's that going to come back?
Yeah.
We all know the infamous clown shit.
Yeah.
Gets her, right? Kid gets saved. They go upstairs like, yo, where's the daughter at? They're rummaging. And then mind you, the closet is full of shit. Like all the bedroom.
In the closet.
Pulled into the closet. And they're doing a pretty good job throwing mattresses out the way. They're twins. Yeah, nothing crazy. Twin mattresses. Just throwing them out the way. And then they're like, oh, she's hiding under the blanket. Everything's okay.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. Move. It's that fucking clown doll thing that we've already seen.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't like this clown doll. Mind you, if that was like an Annabelle situation, that would be the scariest doll in horror cinema history.
Yeah.
Just the doll itself. It's creepy. It's very creepy.
Yeah, my first thought was, who bought him that?
I think it was hers. I don't think it was his. He didn't like it.
That clown is terrifying.
Why would you sit it up on a chair?
Right in front of you.
Right in front of your bed.
Just looking at it the entire night.
I would have put it in the closet with a blanket over it like it was when they found it.
Yeah.
They remove what they think is the daughter, and it's not. And then they're like, oh, man. And then it, like, cuts immediately to, like, the dad being in, like, when she goes talks to the medium or whatever she is, and he looks down bad.
Yeah.
Like, they got the makeup on cue. He ain't slept in days. Looking at, he's like, oh, I ain't even told the cops yet. I need you to go.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right. And it's so funny because, like, I think it's like right after he says that, they like go to the house and they open up the door and shit's just spinning around the room like a tornado would do.
Yeah.
And then my favorite part, because as you guys all know, I'm a record collector, right? There's this just part where like it's called a compass, right? That tool that was used in math to draw like perfect circles. The record is flying through the air while
a retractor?
No, that was the plastic thing. The retractor was the half of it was the plastic.
Okay. Compass?
I think that's called a compass.
Okay.
It's the pokey thing that you can draw a perfect circle with. I think it's called a compass.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it's called a compass. But anyway, it's playing a record while it's flying through the air, which I love because it's like this moment of like high intensity, like fear, and it's just like, like it was so cool to me. It's called a compass, dude. You're about to be like, damn, Josh is the smartest man alive.
I'm not second guessing.
Why are you Googling something?
Because I don't know.
Boom. What's that called?
It's showing like health attractors. I don't know. Compass.
No, dude.
I thought a compass what you use to like find out directions.
A compass is something you use to find out directions, but a math compass is that thing.
See, well, they came together in a pack. That's why I was confused.
That's the retractor. Or what's it called? Protractor? Oh, it's a protractor.
Okay.
Isn't that what that thing's called?
Yeah, protractor. Damn it.
And a compass, right?
Yeah.
What'd you call it? A retractor? Rotractor?
Yeah. I've been out of school for a really long time.
So have I, dude. And I also didn't pay attention to math class at all. But anyway, that was a pretty cool scene. But also, there's shit flying around the room, and these people are like, whoa. And this is when you're like, this is giving you some Insidious vibes.
Yeah, but what else I like about that, like you said, these ghosts never give anyone a second to not believe they're there.
No, at all. Like these poltergeists are on like
shit starts happening.
Max capacity.
That's like when his boss came to see him, and the fucking piano starts rolling across.
He's like trying to push him out of the way, like. And it's funny because like while they're talking to him, they're like, "Oh, the light's gonna flicker 3 times." It's like wink, wink, wink. Like they've already like completely mapped out what these ghosts are gonna be doing throughout this process.
Yeah, the mom character is super.
She's in tune.
She is, yeah,
with what's going down. But also, I think that adds to like this kind of movie not really existing before. So it's like you kind of had to just get to the point.
True.
I don't think you could have done what Paranormal Activity.
You got to get right to it.
And also, I can only imagine how terrifying it was for all the people watching this, because like we're watching it, we've seen, you know, let's just say 10 way better versions because of modern cinema and modern technology and what we're able to do now, especially like Paranormal Activity versus this, and then, you know, Insidious versus this. Visually, would honestly look better, but if you put yourself in a movie theater seat in 1982, this shit probably blew your mind, because people are probably going to look back at our movies now and be like, them things suck.
Well, I wonder how was the remake for it in 2015.
I never watched it.
I didn't either.
Which I was going to ask you, but we got to that point pretty quickly. Yeah, I never watched it. It popped up first when I searched it.
Yeah.
And the immediate thing is that clown
thing,
and I'm like, why is that the focal point of this? And after watching it, I'm like, also, once again, are you guys just feeding off of people's fears of clowns? Which, I mean, makes sense. But it's not a focal point of this movie. Like, yeah, it comes in later, but
yeah, I mean, I
don't really like that. It's a doll and it's a clown, cool, but like that shit is creepy. Like,
yeah,
I guess that's the point. But
I feel like
I did not like that poster.
Trying to use that nostalgia.
It is, and that's probably something that stood out after 82.
Which is in the last 15 minutes of the movie.
It's in the first little bit and then the last little bit, where that clown really comes into play. But this part where they're kind of doing like this whole Insidious, ghost hunters, hunting. Also, Conjuring really comes in, especially with the couple that did that, and like the side people they had. So this lady's side people, I don't remember the characters' names, but there's a guy, and this is what I was talking about when I was like, FX and like the how crazy this movie must have been for people, bro. When he goes to the bathroom to wash his face, like, yes, it looks corny as shit now.
Yeah.
But can you imagine watching that scene in 1980? He goes to the bathroom and rinses. He has like a little boo-boo. And he peels all the flesh off of his face.
Yeah.
Like,
fun fact about that scene. You know whose hands those were?
No.
Steven Spielberg's.
Oh, shit. That's crazy.
Well, he wasn't directing.
Obviously, because he wasn't a director.
Of course,
yeah. Which he proved it right there. He's like, see, look, I was a stunt double.
I'm on screen.
Yeah, I'm on screen. I can't be directing if I'm on screen. But that was crazy. He peels all his face off, then he looks back up, and it's gone. But the prosthetic in the 80s, I'm sure, it looked just like him. It was crazy.
I don't think even in the 80s that looked like him.
I bet it looked perfect. I bet it was, like, perfect. I bet Savini and Nicotero and all them watched that and they're like, good job. That was perfect.
But the process of him pulling off looked good.
All of it looked good.
That entire process looked good to me.
All of it looked good. I mean, yeah, the face did look kind of fake, but he's like, but yeah, I mean, some of that stuff really stood out to me. Then you had the crazy light. How do you feel about the light scene, the ghost, like actually seeing the entity?
It reminded me of Ghostbusters.
Yep. When did Ghostbusters come out?
84.
Interesting. Talk about influential.
I'm thinking, is this the end of Ghostbusters?
Oh, damn,
Are these the same ghosts from Ghostbusters? Who knows?
Ooh, they traveled from
Yeah.
Poltergeist land to
And
New York.
they got caught in New York a couple years later.
They got stuck in the New York City. What are you looking up?
It's one of the cast members' names. I had a quick story to tell. Okay. His name was Richard Lawson. So he was, I guess, the black investigator with them.
Yeah. He was one of my favorite investigators.
So
He
people
stuck around.
People talk about
Yeah.
other dude after that face shit, he was out. But
He's
anyway,
like, yeah, could you imagine? I peeled my face off. Hey, guys, I'm going home.
yeah, and never coming back.
Never. I
Anyway.
actually denounced Ghost.
But they have like this is a curse movie, or whatever. So
Yes, the cursed films, yeah.
and so him, I'm not sure how recent it was or how close it was to the movie,
Yeah.
but he was in the airport, obviously going to catch a flight, and someone stopped him because they recognized him,
From Poltergeist.
and he signed an autograph for him.
Nice.
Gets in the plane. Well, from him signing the autograph for that person, he gets upgraded from coach to first class.
Okay.
The plane crashes. He survives.
But where he would have...
Half the people on the plane died. Half of them died. The person who got his seat died.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So, if you guys ever get a chance on AMC or Shudder, one of those, you can watch cursed films. This is one. This is one of them. This is one of the cursed films. And like he just mentioned, stuff like that happened to like people that were in these kinds of movies. I think it's like The Exorcist, this one.
The Omen.
The Omen. Crazy stuff like that happens. That's a really fun TV series to watch, and it's very interesting. Because you find out some stuff that happened that you're just like, there's no way. And they're like, yeah, this kind of stuff happened. And it's kind of like, does it prove the point that, like, if you start, like, poking around at this stuff, like, are we going to start getting haunted by stuff? Or,
yeah,
like,
no, I think we're good.
You know, because we're not creating it. We're just talking about other people's creations all the time.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it's cool because there's also another scene later near the end of the movie where the mom is in the pool that they were digging. And there's, like, corpses. Corpses? I think that's the plural for corpse. Skeletons.
Yeah.
Where you assume that they're just, plastic fucking skeletons, but you find out that they're real, like, cadavers. Like, they're actual human skeletons that's just floating in water.
They said those were cheaper to get.
Hell yeah, man.
How's that cheaper?
I don't know. Probably you just contact a serial killer, and he's like, yeah, I got like 15 in the closet. What do you want, $150? Yeah, cool. I'll send them via
but
DMV.
You have to keep them.
Yeah, I can't have these back, and nor do you know my name. All right, just come pick them up out of this storage unit. But yeah, there's crazy stuff about these movies like that, and this being the Poltergeist, one of the I think original like ghost haunting like this types of movies.
Yeah. Oh, and the older sister.
Yeah, what were you gonna say about that? You said you had a fun fact.
Yeah.
Or interesting,
Yeah,
not fun.
Not fun.
Yeah,
but she was
wrong choice of words there.
She was murdered.
Murder
by her ex-boyfriend in her driveway the same year the movie came out.
Do you think that she ran out there and said, "What is happening?"
It's fucked up.
That's so messed up. Man, it was served on a silver platter.
I mean, she could have because they were.
That's like her one line,
strange, as they say, and he wanted her to take him back, and she said no. So he choked her out in the driveway, and left her there.
Bye. This is what's happening.
Yeah.
So you get all that crazy stuff happens, right? And then the lady, the medium or whatever she was, is like, I'm gonna bring back some help. This other guy's done, but I'll bring back this other dude.
Well, no, I think she was like a psychiatrist.
So
yes. She was not prepared for this at all.
Yeah,
anyway.
she was in over her head.
Yeah,
and they're all trying to like prove that it's fake too, like the whole time. But then she's like, yeah, remember they were like talking when the dude was like fake sleeping. Everybody was downstairs, and they're like, yeah, they're like doing this, doing that, doing this. But yeah, after
they're whispering,
watch it, and then you have the like fucking force field thing in the roof. I don't know. There's some crazy shit in this
Yeah,
movie.
we go through the door, you come down through the...
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
But
weird.
then she's like, I'm going to bring back some help. And the help is what really makes you think of Insidious.
Yeah.
Which is just some lady. I think this is the medium. Or what are they called?
I guess medium.
People that talk to ghosts or like can go into that realm or understand that realm. And I'm very confused at a lot of this stuff because it's like, go to the light, don't go to the light, do this, do that. There's so many rules. Like, why? I don't know. The daughter won't come to you, but the daughter's talking to him through a TV. And I hated that lady's voice. And she's like, be the mean voice dad. And the dad's like, I've never spanked my kids. Tell her you'll spank her. Like, what?
Just say it.
There's a lot going on in this whole part.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting about that is when they get to the point where they're about to go through the door and the medium offers to go first, but the mom says, you've never done this before either.
Yeah,
She
that was
like-
super
she said, yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
That was kind of corny, though.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was, maybe it wasn't when you first watched it, but I watched it, and it's like one of those times where it's like, you did need to be that corny. It was the selling of it that was
Yeah.
corny. It wasn't necessarily the writing of it. It was how they portrayed it.
Yeah, the delivery wasn't the best.
The delivery was terrible. But
Yes,
she's right. Like, I've never been in there. I've never been to the other side of the plane, as it's called. The life plane versus the ghost plane.
I feel like you're her mom. You should go anyway.
Yeah, I'm going. If I'm the parent, I'm going. If that's my kid, which I'll never have one of those, but if I did, sorry, sweetie. Have fun with the demons and the ghosts. Mommy and Daddy are gonna go get your life insurance
Yeah,
check.
but you'll hear every day through your TV.
I'm moving. TV staying. Bye. So that shit. The plan was.
That was so confusing.
I don't understand it. So there's tennis balls, there's gook, and there's rope.
Which also reminded me of Ghostbusters too.
Right. The Ghostbusters really ripped this movie off. But there's how they came up with this idea, I'm not sure. Maybe they kind of understood the portal theory at the time. But yeah, there's tennis balls, and the guy downstairs is catching them, and he's like, this is my handwriting. And you're like, okay, so if you throw it through here, it's going to go. You couldn't just tell the little girl to like jump through something and like go to something? No, that's cool. So you send the person through with rope, but you can't let go of the rope. Okay, I'm lost. But they find her somehow, but then like the fucking head,
Yeah.
that big ass head comes through, and the
Yeah.
dad's like, I know, I promised you I wasn't gonna drop
Yeah,
this rope.
gone.
It's gone. This head is fucking 10 feet by 6 feet, and it just roared in my face. No, bro.
Letting it go.
Like, I'm letting, I might try to swing on it a couple times, but I can't guarantee I'm holding on to the rope. But it still worked out in the end.
It made me think of Stranger Things with the ceiling.
Oh,
thing.
that was the other thing I was going to connect to this show.
Yeah.
Or this movie with
Maybe.
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Especially towards the end where it starts to look like the Upside Down.
Yeah. I was
There's like tentacles and shit.
yeah, like what? Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
That's
dude.
so with the ceiling thing.
The ceiling thing was like,
that,
eh.
then the door, the tentacle. I was thinking,
Yeah, I was like, yo, Stranger Things, like
Yeah.
the Duffer Bros. I
Yeah.
know y'all be ripping off shit. Y'all openly talk about, well, y'all ain't never mentioned Poltergeist? Or maybe they have, and I just haven't paid attention to it. But the end of this movie, after they survive this thing, and you think that it's all good, but then you're thinking, because you're me and Jake, you're like, I still haven't seen that stupid fucking clown do
Yeah.
anything yet, and I don't think it's in part 2, so what is going on? And you're sitting there and you're like, the husband's like, I got to go to work. I got to figure some shit out. Like, if y'all go to sleep, it's cool. We're not going to stay here tonight, but like, I'm going to work so late that y'all going to have to sleep anyway. Very confused at that because the dad has been a stand-up guy this entire
yeah,
movie.
he was adamant about leaving that same night.
Yeah,
about
adamant. And because he knew like shit gets wonky, it might not be fixed yet. And then
I'm gonna work till about 10:30 though.
yeah, I'm gonna work till my wife had time to dye her hair, take a bath, go to sleep. Kids were trying to go to sleep. He left when the sun was still out, and it's now dark. Like, damn, I don't know how far away you work. Isn't it this fucking neighborhood? Like, where are you, Dad? And it's like shit like that, where it's just like I didn't quite understand, because like that's not how the dad has been portrayed this entire movie. He's been on top of things. He is completely called out of work in order to be there. His boss is so worried about it that he tells him about the whole cemetery thing and all that stuff. So you're like, this doesn't make sense. But craziness, right? So you got the house, it's been calm, but then you got the mom taking a bath, separated from the kids in the bedroom where all the crazy shit happened. And this is when you get the clown, which is a little fucking, he like looks at it before he goes to sleep, and he's like, all right, I got this. I'm just going to be a big boy. I'm grab my blanket, I'm going to roll over. Yeah, always. That's what I did.
Don't do that.
Nothing can get you under your blankie, bro. You know that, right? It could be Michael Myers. I hit that sheet over the head, bro.
As soon as he threw that, wherever he threw at it, and heard the bell from the hat go off,
you know it's going to get you.
You knew you're going to hear it again.
It was good foreshadowing.
It was.
The movie did a good job at that part because you're like, oh, here's the clown shit. And then he rolls over, and then he like hears something, like something thuds.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, bet. Sits up. It's gone.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, no. Oh, no. And he does what no kid in his right mind would ever do.
No.
Looks under the bed.
You immediately hop up and cut the light off.
Yeah. I'm cutting on lights. I'm going to get my mom, my dad, my sisters, everybody. I'm going to call an uncle. I don't care, bro. I'm not going to sit there. And what's crazy is like, you are thinking, and I like this because it's one of those times where you think something else is going to happen and they don't do it. He looks under the bed and he's like, you're like, all right. We did it. We got through it. And he sits up, and the thing's behind him in bed.
Yeah.
And just starts roping him up, and his face changes all evil.
Yeah.
Bro.
So something else cool, fun, or not cool, but fact about that is at some point recording that scene, there was a malfunction. And it was it was like choking him.
Oh, like legitimately.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then Steven Spielberg, who was, on set,
producer,
obviously, came and pulled him out of it.
Steven Spielberg saved the day.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
Well, you're
the
executive producer,
Yeah, you got to be there.
You're very hands-on.
Got to keep your kid actors and actresses safe.
He did the casting.
He did. Which was perfect. I got to say, the acting in this movie was superb. Especially the kids. They were so good.
They were good, yeah.
So then this is all going down. The mom, what happened? Something, what the fuck? It goes like Scary Movie 2 with the whole getting tossed around the ceiling with the underwear getting shown.
Yeah, that was
I don't know what they were.
Yeah.
What were y'all going for?
I don't
there?
know.
I didn't appreciate that. This whole movie did a good job.
She kept pulling her shirt down,
and it kept pulling showing the underoos.
Yes, she's.
And I know she's a pretty lady and whatnot, but
she was.
She was a gorgeous woman, but why? Nothing in this movie has been let's see some mom panties.
Yeah.
And she's getting tossed around the ceiling. Kids are about to get yeeted into a closet again. There's an evil clown doll. This movie went from we did it to what is going on?
Part 2 starts right down.
Everything's going to shit. You're not allowed to be comfortable at all in this point. And then the mom is trying to get to her kids. She survives her fiasco and she got put through the ringer, man. You start seeing this upside down shit happening. That's when you got the hallway scene that I mentioned about it earlier. And she gets yeeted down the stairs. And she the one thing I'll give this mom is she's got no quit in her.
None.
She's going to see this through, and she's yelling at it, you better not hurt my babies. And the famous hair blowing in the wind shit. And I think about that time, the dad shows up. And also, another thing I don't understand, he's running up to the house. The fucking lights are flickering.
Oh, he stopped for a second?
He stops, and he yells his wife's name. Maybe he's getting the courage. I get it. I've been scared before. I didn't like it, but it's not the worst thing that happens. And then, neighbors are now starting to realize, yo, what is going on? The fucking owner of his company's pulling up. Shit's hitting the fan. You got fucking graves popping out. She falls in the pool with the floating cadavers and skeletons.
I didn't understand the whole caskets.
And I think it was just to prove that there are that many poltergeists, that it was buried on, or it was built on that many bodies. I think that was the point they were going with, that it wasn't even barely attempted to switch the bodies. Because he even looks at it, and I think it's that famous line where it's you moved the headstones, but you kept the bodies.
Yeah.
The only overacting in this entire movie is in that pivotal scene. Which, I mean, it's so iconic though, so maybe it's just been beaten into my head at this point. But he's grabbing his boss and he's yelling at him, and it's
that's the.
I'd be pretty pissed.
That's the easy way to do it.
Yeah. And then they, somehow come around the backside of the house, and then they get in the car, crash into another car, and that's when the daughter runs up and does the "I know what you did last summer." What is happening?
I love
clearly some wild shit. All right.
In that scene though, before she even gets in the car, the son says, "Pull off."
Yeah. Let's leave, Dad. Yeah, I did remember that.
Yeah.
Damn, you remembered it better than that. That's funny. Yeah, he does. He's like, fuck this girl. I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing her in an hour. Let's go.
Yeah. What? She's supposed to be off I-77 or whatever it was at the Holiday Inn. And then you got everybody's watching this happen, and like this force is coming out of the house and it knocks some people over, and then the house disintegrates into itself, into the poltergeist hole. And then it kind of gives you that like they are just so tired.
Yeah.
And it's like you've been through the ringer. It kind of makes me think of Haunting of Hill House at some of these points where you got the whole family trying to escape something crazy. And then you got they go to the Holiday Inn, and it's like they close the curtain, they go inside the room, and you're like, whew. And then it's just one last little thing, which is the dad rolls the TV outside of the room and then shuts the door. And I think that's one of those like, sorry, my voice cracked. That's one of those like perfect ending type moments.
I agree.
Like it really,
that was a good touch.
It's Spielberg doing Spielberg. Whatever you want to say, that had to have been Spielberg say. That was such an iconic little cherry on top.
Yeah, it was.
Like it was just great. And that's the movie. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably some other shit that happened that wasn't as important to us, but that's it. All right, buddy. So, is there anything you wanted to add about the movie? I mean, I kind of just been rambling on. You've chimed in, but it was good.
Yeah,
so,
we covered all of it, I feel like.
All the important shit for the most part. All right, on a scale from 1 to 10, this iconic movie called Poltergeist from 1982, where would you rank it, bud?
On a scale from 1 to 10, Poltergeist to me would be a 7.5.
That's a good score, bud. I like that score.
What about you?
I'm going to go 8.
Okay.
I'm going to go 8, just because it was a fan request and I don't want her to hate me. No, I enjoyed this one. There's some corny shit, but I have to kind of take out. Like,
it's the 80s.
I have to step out and be like, all right, it's corny, but blah, blah, blah. But I do think it's iconic, and coming off the episode we just came off of, I have to give it some respect. Yeah. Because I mentioned some of my favorite things that exist in horror right now, and it made me think of those things in this movie. That's the movie, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys have an episode idea, like Courtney did, let us know. www.jsquaredhorrorpodcast.com. I would like to take a big shout out for all of our main supporters. Jeff Balance, who does our design work. Lucky Riggs, who does our intro and our outro music. Trademark Printing, who does our printing needs. A big shout out for Jake for being the best co-host a guy could ask for.
Thank you.
Big shout out to all of our fans, every single one of you that listen every week, comment, like. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps us. Follow us on Spotify, all those things. No idea what we're covering next week?
No.
We'll let you guys know when we know. All right, so this is the J Squared Horror Podcast. I'm Josh.
And I'm Jake.
You guys have a great week. And remember, it's hip to be squared.